Hi, welcome to my channel Teach Me. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do selections in Excel. Before that, don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and click on the bell button. So here I have some text, right? So right now I have a D3 selected. So if you want to select anything between, let's say, D3 and H3, what you can do is you can either two ways to do it. Click it and do a selection like this, or click on the first one and press shift and click on H3. That will select everything in that row. So if you press shift, it will select everything in that row. Same thing goes for D, right? If you want to do D3 to D12, you could click, hold it and drag it, or click on the D3 and click on the shift and click on the last one. So what about these items? So it works the same thing. Click it and drag it, or just click it, click on the D and shift, click on the F12. So that will select everything. So one other way of doing it, so let's say if you want to select all of these, right? So since all other thing is there, you could press Control A. That will select the all area. So let's say you have some text here. So text to text 3. So let's say you have a multiple text here. So if you go here and do a Control A, it only selects this area. Okay, what about here? So if you want to select all of this group, you could come here and do a Control A. It will select the group. So it knows a group of text in Excel. Okay, so that is one way of doing a selections. So what about if you want to select in between area, right? So let's say I want to select a D3 and I want to select a James. So in order to select James, you cannot just do a shift or click here, it will unselect it. So what you want to do is click on Control and click on E8. So that will select the James. So if you want to do Emma, you do Control again, then F4, which is Emma. So let's say I want to get, I don't want a James anyway. I want to deselect James. Then press Control and click on James again. So that will get deselected. So the last item that you select, right, it will be like this color. Right now you could see Liam Olivia, it's in gray color. This one is not in gray color, but this is selected. So if you click on Control click, and you could see this is unselected. So the previous selected is Olivia is still selected. So I'm going to select a multiple few items. So I'm going to select these, right? So these you are selecting one by one. But if you want to select, so that's going to be, if I have hundreds of them, clicking one by one is okay if it's here and there. What about Olivier? So what about I want to select Olivier, Oliver and up to the James. So you could press again. You don't want to lose these selections, so press Control Oliver and then just drag it down. Okay, you could drag anywhere you want, so it will select that area, but then leave it. As soon as you leave it, it will just select that area, right? Again, if you want to unselect it, it's the same thing. I want to unselect James and Williams, so I'm going to click on Control click on James and Williams. That will unselect those two. So those are the selections you can do in between. So what if you want to select a column? If you want to select a column, you can click on, see, as you can, when you move the mouse over E, it will, if you click on the E, see, you could see the arrow changing. If you click on E, it will select the column. Same thing goes for row. Okay, what about if you want to select the entire sheet? There are two ways you can do it. You could click outside and do a Control A, that will select the whole thing, or you could click on this corner. So by clicking on this corner, it will select the whole sheet. Okay, that's one way of selecting it. So what about if you have multiple sheets, right? If you want to select these sheets, so if you want to select multiple sheets, you could click on the one sheet, and you could click on another sheet. Again, it's a control click, will click individually. If you do a shift click, it will select everything in between. Okay, so that is a way of selecting sheets. Again, you could multiple click on let's say I'm going to copy this to sheet 2. So I'm going to copy this to sheet 2, and I'm going to click, I want to multiple select from here and sheet 2, right? So if I want to do that, press so I'm just going to hit escape. So I'm going to select Emma, then go to sheet 2. I'm going to select let's do this, Emma, okay, then sheet 2, and Sophia, right? So if I do that, well, I have multiple selection here, but when you do this color change, it only affects in that sheet. It doesn't affect on the multiple sheet, right? So so you cannot do multiple selection across the sheet, because anything that you do will be only within that sheet, because you don't want to, you could do, what you can do is you could do a paste, clipboard paste, that you can do that. So if you click on here, and let's say you have a color yellow, and there is a paste option here, format painter. So if you click on that, and if you go back here, and you could paint that Emma, right? So that is a different way of doing those. So these are selections that you can do. So what about within the selection, you want to change around columns or rows. So in here, if I want to move this, if you see that you can, if you move the mouse over, your mouse will change. If you move this over like this, what it does is it will replace that column, right? So let's say if I move this over here, it will replace the H with the whatever the column you moved over. What about if you don't want to replace it, but you just want to change the first name over here between D and E? To do that, you press shift, and when you move over, you can see it's only moving by a line, right? That means it's an insert. See, oops. So that means it's an insert. So I'm going to shift and move over. That means it's going to take that column, insert into between D and E, and you'll shift everything to the right. Same thing goes for row also. Okay, that's it. That's how you do all the selections and move. Thank you.